Okay. Good morning. You can proceed.
Oh, yes. Good morning, Mr. Mawere. Welcome to this show, and good morning also to our listeners and viewers for wherever they are. Today, we the Twitter streets have been abuzz since yesterday, since Professor Jonathan Moyo published a series of tweets claiming to give reasons why former Energy Minister Fortune Chasi was fired from his position. So it has become quite interesting that politicians and other stakeholders and even private citizens have become sort of journalists who are releasing breaking news. Now, this is quite interesting. What is your take on this, on what is going on with on Twitter regarding the Chasi firing issue and what Professor Jonathan Moye said?
I think the first thing to observe is that in any society, there is a difference of opinion.
Yes.
There are some who believe what they know is what is real, and there are some who want to know. And people are divided based on fiction. So here you have a case. A minister is fired or dismissed by a president who hired him. And then somebody who is neither the two then says the reason for this dismissal or the decision to dismiss is 1, 2, 3, 4. Then attempts to provide facts as known to the person to justify why the decision to remove was based on what somebody believes to be the truth. The president has not said anything other than just to indicate through the chief cabinet secretary what the differences could have been, but there's nothing, no specific things. The minister in question has since issued his own statement, but still the statement by Professor Jonathan Moyo is there, uncontested. So when you don't contest, whatever is uncontested becomes fact.
Yes. Okay. And that is quite interesting that Professor Moyo just put out information out there and no one really came out to contest the information. And like you say, then it becomes fact. Now, how can we build the content from Twitter for analysis? Can this then be, since it's uncontested fact, so to speak, can it then be used as content for Twitter analysis?
No, it's not. What is not true remains untrue, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's said outside Twitter. So if you want to advance any scholarship, then you are compelled to provide the facts supporting your allegation.
All right. Now, we see politicians, opinion makers creating this type of news. Do you think that journalists are being crowded out of their journalistic space, so to speak?
I don't think so. You can crowd anyone in this digital age.
Yes.
Because like you did, you are here because you thought it's an important subject to be interrogated further. But no one has stopped you. No one will stop you from doing that which you wish to do, because most of the platforms are open. You can join, you don't have to pay any money to find a space. So we live in the most democratized space where you can use a phone, a computer, and get going. Those are the instruments that are available. And your experience from yesterday to today, you can testify whether anyone has stopped you. Just from being a part of the narrative. And after this, you can share it and say, I was there, and I thought it's part of civic education, part of improving literacy on what government is and what government is not. So journalists, equally, those who are trained, will take an angle and give it legs and provoke, if they must, more conversations.
All right. Okay, and then back to the issue of the firing of former Minister Chasi. Do you think that his dismissal was to cover corruption, as Professor Jonathan Moyes' fact in courts implies? Or
I
do you
would.
think? Yes.
Thinking is lazy, because I can also do the same and imagine reality and be able to express it as fact. I simply don't know, and it will not be any of my concern if the person who hired me fired me. Because when he was hired, it was never communicated to me or put to a referendum or even asked of me to have an opinion. If I had been asked, I would have probably given a different opinion based on my knowledge.
I've also observed, Mr. Mawere, that I also observed yesterday that as you were analyzing or looking at the Chasi issue along with everyone on the Twitter streets, sentiment seems to always be that Mr. Mawere always brings up or tries to contextualize the SMM issue. Do you see any link between the corruption that is being alleged that is alleged to be happening in Zimbabwe by public officials? Do you think that is linked somehow to the events that culminated in the SMM saga? Do you think that they are related to the corruption that
I don't have to think. They are different eras, different timelines. The issue of SMM was in 2004. Here we are in 2020. So for the two to be related or causally, then one has to make a supposition that history does have a bearing on future events. Who could have predicted that Chasi would be a minister? But the truth of the matter, in 2004, Chasi was working for the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe.
Yes.
And he had a direct influence on what happened to SMM. So the events of SMM are not unknown to Chasi. But to date, he has not given his account. You find his name in a company that was used to acquire shares of SMM's parent company in the UK.
Yes.
He was a director of that company. The company was purportedly owned by the Reserve Bank. It received a gift of $2 million for the purpose of acquiring the shares, presumably on behalf of the government. We have had ministers confirm that the government is a shareholder in SMM based on that transaction. So Chasi couldn't have participated in that transaction without his knowledge and consent. So it's only for him to give his account. So when we are looking at use of public power or abuse of it, then one has to go beyond the current events to say, let's look at the person. Let's look at his record. What does he know? What doesn't he know?
Okay. Yesterday, you also commented on Twitter that fiction and gossip shape and define public policy in Zimbabwe. From your experience, what can you please elaborate more what you meant there?
Imagine you are married and somebody tells your wife an untruth, and your wife acts on that untruth. Would you still be married, or start arguing or divided?
I will definitely be divided.
Yeah, so fiction and ignorance and illiteracy are the biggest cause of divisions among people. Because what you say, if you say President Mnangagwa, because of his marital relationships or whatever, that is what precipitated the firing, because of corruption, because of a deal that was consummated, that was prejudicial to public interest, therefore he is not fit to be president. But if it turns out that the information you are relying upon is false or is untrue, then what then follows?
Yeah, it is a true travesty of everything that we know as justice or anything. But then you also mentioned, you also answered on Twitter that ignorance is a friend of prejudice. You said this is a lesson also that you got from the SMM saga and what is happening in Zimbabwe. What did you? Can you please also elaborate on that one?
Imagine you are blind and you don't know where you are. Then the issue of prejudice comes in, hatred comes in, because what I am saying, if you don't understand the true nature of what I'm saying, it means you'll be persuaded to dislike me, to hate me. And there are many people who support Professor Moyo. So anything you say against or a dissenting voice is easily seen as an attack on the person.
Not on the issue.
Not on the issue.
Mm.
So people who are ignorant on issues or even understanding what the issue is, here you have somebody saying he knows why a minister was fired by a president who hired the minister. But he doesn't say how he got that information. He doesn't say who told him.
And he doesn't.
He's not in Zimbabwe.
He doesn't give all the facts. He gives certain information and leaves out certain information, which becomes very.
But you can't leave something that you don't have. Either you have information or you don't have it. And in this case, which is which?
Yes. Based on the 15 tweets that he sent through, Professor Moyo sent through, he produced the sorted documents, but there was no trade agreement. And
no, there was not. He just produced the screenshots.
And the proposal.
No, but there was no agreement. The proposal was just a proposal. So it means it's a proposal. Imagine you propose to a woman, and then someone says, no, you did something. And someone says they don't smoke without fire. Yes, let's get the fire. Let's follow the smoke. So if it's an allegation that there is fire that has caused the smoke, why not push for the fire to be identified? Surely, if something was concluded, was consummated, then there has to be parties to that. There has to be an exchange of value. Did it take place? We now have Nick Mangwana saying, no, that was never signed. There was an intent to conclude an agreement, but it was never concluded. So we have now two versions.
Yes.
How do we reconcile the two? It's not that there's no smoke. Yes, all you can say is that it is alleged that there was an agreement to be concluded. Whether it was concluded or not, it must be a matter of fact. It is not for me. So if I'm the one and the Professor Moyo is becoming a journalist, then he has a duty to tell the facts as they are.
Yes.
Nick is red herring. Yes, but Nick is a red herring. It doesn't matter who is Nick. What matters clearly is whether it's fact that an agreement was concluded, and if so, money exchanged hands. That's all. Nobody's saying who is lying. Give us the evidence so that we can then proceed to then formulate our own opinions and conclusions as to whether public funds are used in the manner in which they must be used.
I think that is quite clear. And then you also mentioned that some key lessons from the SMM saga that maybe young people should know or that you should share is that the Reconstruction Act is barbaric. Please, may you please tell us more on that, what you meant as well?
Yeah, when you look at
many young people know about the Reconstruction Act and its implications on private citizens and business persons in Zimbabwe.
Yeah, take this as an example. You have a house and the minister issues an order that is no longer your house. The house is now state property. And this is a minister, not the court. And the minister says, you owe money to me, but doesn't go to court to affirm or to demand that you pay. And if you fail to pay, the court must decide. You can't be a judge unto yourself. This court allows a minister, not a court, to issue an order that divests you and deprives you of your place of residence without the due process of the law.
So in a nutshell, that is what the Reconstruction Act is and what it can do.
That's what it does. That's what it did. It's not what it can do. That's what I was saying. Remind people that this is a law of the land. And other people are saying, no, it's irrelevant. And Tadi Mark said, General Belting, Seno Chemicals, ETC, SMM subsidiaries, now in ruins. So all these companies were ruined by the decision of the minister, not of the court. And the minister is not accountable. And the people who are, including Jonathan Moyo, he would not talk about all this. Yeah.
Wow. Now, having observed, having learned some of these lessons from your experiences, that, for example, public policy in Zimbabwe is actually being defined by fiction and gossip that is being peddled around for various vested parties with obviously partisan interests, and that a lot of people are also ignorant to the point that they become prejudiced to varied opinions, and that this is a country where we have things like the Reconstruction Act, which are barbaric, as you say. Now, isn't there cause for you to share your experiences, maybe as part of a community of people, so with a shared understanding, so that people can then negotiate out of some of these prejudices, or maybe scrutinize information that gets into the public domain, so that it's not people, the government, or people in general do not just act on gossip and hearsay.
No, but that starts with you. If you didn't know about the Reconstruction Act, do you now know it?
Yes. Yes, I do. There could be other people like myself who do not know about it.
If you now know something, what is your duty as a citizen? Yeah, like Mankanj says it was expropriation. Then you can say, okay, I didn't know that somebody in government would expropriate assets. If they can do it in relation to SMM, why can't they do it in relation to me? So it starts, it's not the victim that should say the story. That's what they're saying. That Mawere, why is Wellington not the one who is talking about this Reconstruction Act? Yeah, so if you now know what you now know, then you can be able to say the companies that were reconstructed are in ruins. So Zimbabwe was taken over in the interest of reconstructing it from Mugabe regime, the first dispensation. And then you are saying, okay, now I know. And I want to have a conversation on this question. The test is it a confiscatory law or a law that permits expropriation of assets or divest, deprives you of your rights? If it is, then what is your attitude towards it? Yourself first. Then you can be able to build a community out of your own. Like Professor Moyo, it's not a secret that he doesn't like Mnangagwa. But he still has an obligation to prove that Mnangagwa is not fit for purpose. But then he uses data and information that may not be supported by evidence, which means that whole call becomes non-existent. Imagine you raise it and say there was corruption. Then people say, okay, you prove that there was corruption. and he doesn't have the facts except to produce a screenshot of cover pages. Go ahead.
I think I had been connected in there, but I'm glad that I'm back, Mr. Mawere. So I'm going to discuss a tweet where you another tweet as well that you responded to Caleb. Caleb said that I think you lack objectivity when dealing with Professor. I think the professor here is Professor Ngube. Is it Professor? Sorry, is it bitterness for your past issues? Granted, during his time as a minister, he was untouchable and he destroyed a lot. But this bitterness is not good for you, sir. And then you responded to say that please judge me on facts. Are you suggesting that the SMM issue should have been buried? Are you aware that Ziambi is in court appealing a judgment by Mangota J in relation to the order he issued in relation to Wanke Collier? If so, then you would know better than personalized issues. Would you like to add more to that, Mr. Mawere?
Yeah, if you go on Google now,
Yes.
and Google Ziambi dash Wange Colliery. Let's do that, and then we can share that so that this is known. It's not me. Then he can know better, because there are many people who are blind and
Ziambi
prejudiced.
versus Wanke Collier.
Yeah. Wange. You can even put reconstruction, because this law was not only applied in relation to SMM. So it's all there. Then the appeal. So that was March 27. So
I think we seem to have a problem. Maybe we've
you
lost
see
Mr.
it?
Mawere here, or it's my internet.
You see it on the screen?
Please bear with us while we try to reconnect.
Are you seeing it?
But if you can hear me, someone just please put a comment so that I know that you are there, and maybe I can just discuss some things while we wait for Mr. Mawere to reconnect.
Hello? Hello?
All right, I see something is happening here. These government appeals were getting. I see Mr. Mawere is also sharing a screen there of the case, Ziambi case.
Hello? Hello?
Hello, Mr. Mawere.
Yeah, no, I am back here.
All right, yes. So I saw you shared the issue. Maybe would you like to describe? Yes.
All right, let me share it again.
Yes, but whilst you are sharing it, maybe for the benefits of our viewers, you could also just quickly maybe describe it or paraphrase the issue as we go.
I'm saying is the issue of Wange, and you were asking what is Wange. I said, Gogo, the matter is current. It's not just about SMM.
Yes.
It's about another company called Wange. And Moyo said in the weeks and months to come, you will put more evidence on the table. That's good morning, Laksonia. So that's what we have. They tried to use the same reason they used to take SMM. The Wange Colliery, that Wange Colliery was in debt. So there are people. Taddy Max knows something about it. You can read yourself on the on what has been shared if you can see it.
So I think it goes on to what you said, that people are believing fiction, gossip because of ignorance. So I repeat, isn't there cause to have a platform where people can share their experience? People like yourselves, like in this case, we see Wange is that company, the issue with Ziyambi, etc., etc. There seems to have dangerous precedents that have been solidified by an act of parliament, like the Recon Act, for example. This can happen to anyone, anytime. And the people do not seem to know much about this act, this Reconstruction Act.
What I'm saying to
Hello,
you
Mr.
is that hello. What I'm saying to you is that you, as a person, you must be able not to ask me if you believe that there are things that you didn't know and that you now know. Then you can say there is a cause for me as Wellington. Hello? 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 Hello?
I'm
Hello?
here. Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, no, I'm saying the question is back to you to say, if you now know something you don't know, is there a cause for you to share what you didn't know and now what you now know?
Yes, definitely. That is the onus is now on me with this information, because I can tell you one thing for sure from what I see on Twitter and the way the young people respond. I noticed that there is no knowledge of some of these things.
And why do you call
Maybe
them
in
young
political
people?
terms, there's been widespread use of propaganda, misinformation, and spin, and young people just latch that type of interrogating what facts are and what are not facts. All right. So now we're saying maybe we should create communities where information can then be dissected, where people interrogate issues, where people learn how to distinguish the grain from the chaff, so to speak. Like, for example, you mentioned in this discussion the issue of the presidential powers in terms of the constitution on appointing ministers. It is the prerogative of the president to appoint a minister. And at the same time, as much as it is for the president to fire a minister. Now, when the president fires a minister, a person like Professor Jonathan Moyo comes out to say that they know the reasons they fired. But at the same time, we cannot ask the president because he is not even obliged to share the reasons that he fired a minister. What would you like to add more on that as well?
Yeah, no, if we start from fact and fiction, I've given you a story in the Independent.
Yes.
And I know you've been referring to young people as if you know who is on Twitter. The tweet may appear to come from a young person, but it doesn't mean that person is young. Even if they were young, you'll be able to share. So maybe before we go to your question, what is it that is on the screen if you were to take that as a starting point? So that you can read to the others what you didn't know. So that we finish with that one, we deal with the issue of perceptions. Hello?
Yeah, I can't hear.
Hello?
Yes, now I can hear you. I could not hear what you said.
No, I was saying is if you look at the screen right now, can you see what is written on the screen?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can read and the date of the article.
All right, I can see. I think it's March 27, 2020.
Yeah.
It's quite recent.
Yeah, and what is there?
I can't read the small. Oh yeah, long drawn out boardroom wrangles at Wanke Collier Company Limited have taken yet another twist after the government lodged an appeal at the Supreme Court challenging a High Court ruling quashing its decision to place the ailing coal miner under administration. So Justice Minister Ziambi placed Wanke under administration in October 2018, but the High Court ruled him offside when he subsequently applied for confirmation of his decision. Following the High Court ruling, the former Wanke Board of Directors, headed by Juliana Musakwe, which was just down a bit. All right, the appeal has for the time being tilted the scales, etc., etc. All right, so I'm not able to read properly, but I think it's there's reason for me to read, maybe, and probably others as well. We'll share the link after the broadcast. All right. Would like to comment any further on this issue, Mr. Mawere? Hello, Mr. Mawere.
I'm saying, did you know about this yourself?
No, I was not aware of this issue.
Yeah, so that's where the start of building a community. You may discover that others were also not aware. But when you are aware of something, then you act on it. Yeah, but some people would like to focus on what I may say. Yeah?
Yes.
Then Moyo is basically a conspiracy theorist. So that's what Velasco is saying. Then, Tad, why is the case different from SMM? Is it the different administration or what? That's what Ladi marks. So if they were in court and the minister lost the decision and he appealed, then isn't that matter still before the courts? It's live today.
Someone, I think Itai David Chiwanga also commented that Muchangwa has given another version, which is corruption, as the reason why Chasi was fired. And then Velasquez says that the issue is Zimbabweans are intrigued by conspiracy theories, hence a lot of dimwits. I don't know. Then he mentions Professor Moebe. So he mentions the issue of conspiracy theories, and he also says Moyo is basically a conspiracy theorist. I guess conspiracy theories are founded on gossip, folklore, and other imaginations, isn't it, Mr. Mawere? So I see a cause indeed to learn more about issue to learn more, to interrogate issues, because there's more to issues than meets the eye. Whoever disseminates information usually have an agenda. And the first agenda, first and foremost, is their own, which is self-interest. So I think with the free media and free space to operate in the media, including these Twitter streets, we all are afforded an opportunity to give a voice to our opinions and interrogate facts.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, before we go further, it's interest, not a cause. If you have an interest in something,
Yes,
then you have an interest as a person.
yes,
And that will then inform others. So if your interest arising from this dispute over Chasi is to interrogate what the facts are on SMM and what the facts are on reconstruction law, then it's you who has to determine that. You can't ask others to be interested in what they are not interested in. I don't know whether you understand me there. Hello? Hello? Hello?
I could not hear what you were saying all along.
Oh, okay. I think there's a network problem. But
Yeah,
what I was saying is that interest,
on my side.
yeah, I was saying interest is the most important thing. If you are
Yes,
interested in something, then you learn about it.
yes,
Yeah, it's like us when we say, let's look at the reconnect and look at whether it has been applied, and we looked at Wange, where Google found it. So you don't have to say people come and let's us meet to talk about something they are not interested in. Obviously, the issue of Chasi is of interest to many people.
Yes.
And there are people who believe Chasi was a victim, even though he's a member of ZANU-PF. And there are people who believe that he's a villain. And if Ms. Mtwangwa says it's related to corruption, then obviously there are people who are saying Chasi is corrupt. Whereas Professor Moyo is saying Chasi can never be corrupt.
So it's all about partisan interests.
No, it's all about knowledge and evidence. It may not be partisan, but they don't know. So some people believe what Professor is saying. Some people believe what Mtwangwa is saying. So you have different opinions.
Yes.
But it may not be partisan because Mtwangwa and Chasi belong to the same party.
So, yes. Now, when we look at abuse of power, especially state power, you mentioned in another tweet yesterday, these tweets are all related to the Chasi issue because it was a debate that was raging for hours yesterday. You say when you look at abuse of state power, never be selective and myopic because history can repeat itself. I thought that was quite profound, Mr. Mawere.
Yeah.
Would you like to add more on that? To that?
That's what it says. If you don't learn from the past, then the past effects will always repeat themselves. So that's what I'm saying, Wellington. If you are willing to learn for yourself. Don't learn to bring people to learn. Just go to school to learn for yourself. So if you have learned something, then you say, okay, no, now I know what I didn't know. And that's the end of that process. Than to say, I want to learn because I want to be in a classroom. because learning is not limited to a class setting. Hello?
Yes, I think we're having challenges, Mr. Mawere. It's very difficult to communicate at this point in time. What do you think? Maybe we should not proceed? Or all right, but at least
Okay,
I can.
let me just check whether they can hear me.
Yes, then you can proceed. Yes, I can then follow on the sideline. No
Hello?
problem.
Can you hear me? If you are watching, just type yes, because it may be my problem on my network.
Or it could be mine as well.
We can't hear you both. So Tadi says we can't hear you both. Are you hearing me? Mankaji says yes, I can hear. And then Tadi says no, I can't hear. Website saying, do you want us to continue? We have about 10 minutes to finish. Do you want me to continue? Let's hear whether Laxon says yes. All of you are clear. So Itai says yes. Love more.
Okay. It
Yes.
seems all of us are clear. So maybe we can proceed.
All right. So, yeah, I can hear. So I think the issue is to speak to the individual like you. If you are interested in something, that's the cause.
Yes.
If you are interested in a woman, that's a cause. If you are interested in a car, that's a cause. But do you agree that there are many people who like other people to come in so that they have a cause?
Mm.
And if there's only one person who is willing to learn, they will chase the numbers and say, what is my WhatsApp reading? What is my Facebook reading? So if they see more people, they become more stupid on air because they like that. Even tweeting, I can tweet anything because I got followers. And those followers never stand up and say, no, but what are you saying? They cheerlead. And that's what you're observing on Twitter. That there are people who rather listen to somebody than use their mind to judge facts.
Yeah. Or intelligence issues.
So if that is the case, what is your, having seen the experience on Twitter, what is it that you as Wellington now can say, I didn't know, I need to create a Recon Act, I need to be able to read it, I need to know what the facts are, what the facts are not.
Yeah? Yes, that is definitely true. Because
Love
information is power.
Yeah, Love Mo says, thank you for this platform. It's important to always verify facts. You see?
Yes.
So Love Mo is like, Love Mo, are you willing to be part of Wellington's team to learn more in a structured way? Tajma, and where does the ordinary person get documents like the ones from this deal? Yes, you can get the documents. If you are talking about the need for documents, imagine Professor Moyo had tweeted that I need the documents. They will come in your private mail. People are not stupid. They will tweet them. They will post them to you because it's important. Anything that exists will always find a space to be shown. So don't worry about the document. There's somebody who may be pissed off at the deal, who is got the data and information. So you would rather say, I don't have the information, but I believe it's there because I got a document which shows that there were discussions between government and some other companies. And I'm not sure what happened. But I can't say the minister was fired because of something I have not verified. I need to verify if there's corruption. What if the president fired him accusing Chasi of corruption? Then Jonathan is accusing the minister of trying to remove the president by exposing him. Yeah. So he is trying to divide the president from his minister, and the minister and the president know each other. They belong to the same party. And Jonathan is not part of the party to know. Yet he is the one who is going ahead telling people, no, there's a division between your minister was trying to nail you and you removed him so that we don't get the document. So it means the minister was working with Jonathan. That's what Jonathan is doing, trying to expose Chasi.
Issue of Jonathan Moyo mentioning private relationship as linked to some of these deals. It sounds it sounds like someone with an agenda.
No, we all do that. That's
and then,
why
there's no fact, there's no statement of fact. They just link.
No, that's why they say, Mawere, you are a ZANU PF. They don't need facts. We don't need facts as usual. We just say it as we think we know it. But if you ask that person, can you show where is ZANU PF, where is not? So Jonathan, by association, this is what they've been doing before. They've removed people from government based on these alleged associations. Mam Juru and Kaukonde, the relationship is corrupt. And they remove Mam Juru, but corruption doesn't end. And who was the principal author of that rumor? It was Jonathan. So the idea of using associations to dismiss arguments or to make arguments is universal. It's big. Hello? 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 Hello?
Yes, Mr. Mawer.
Yeah. So I'm saying the idea of using associations is a big problem.
Yes. Yes.
So we can call it part one and end here because we said we'll do 45 minutes. And those who are interested in joining Wellington, please indicate so that he can have other people to look at these issues in depth.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Please inbox me or I'll share my details as well. Those who are interested. But in conclusion, Mr. Mawere, do you have any concluding remarks that you would like to?
No, all I'm saying is that it's important for people who know better to use whatever they know.
Yes. All right. No, I guess with that, I think Moyo may have inside information, and you can dismiss that. You and Jonathan Moyo, you and Jonathan are same, and actually Jonathan makes sense. That is Wamugo.
Yeah, this is the intention that Wamugo is playing into the hands of personal instead of debating issues. There's nothing that Wamugo said that has any fact. If there is anything that is personal, then why is Jonathan talking about personal issues of Chasi?
Yes, I think it's important that people learn to be value-free and dissect issues as issues without involving personal issues. It becomes easier. to sort of like separate the grain from the chaff. Wamugo is basically following into the rhetoric that the trap that people like Jonathan Moore probably want.
Okay, no, that's fine.
All right. Then Itai David also said he likes the way Mr. Mawere interrogated the facts. You proved beyond doubt that Chasi is no saint as Moyo wants to portray. Yeah, because I think it's information that is in the public domain, like Mr. Mawere pointed to us. We were not even aware of the Wange Collier issue, which is almost similar to the SMM saga. But those facts are in the public domain. I think the onus is on us as individuals to start by interrogating those facts, get more information, and maybe I realize that I do not have much information on that, and I have interest in finding out more information. And those who want to join me in the quest for more information, they can get me on the on the email that I've shared on the I'll share on the platform shortly. But otherwise, Mr. Mawere, is there anything else you would like to add? Otherwise, we may end the show for now, for this morning.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think we're okay. Let's go to the next show.
All right, all right. Thank you so much, listeners. Thank you so much, Mr. Mawere, as well as viewers. It's been a pleasure joining you. Of course, with minor technical glitches, but we hope that will improve as well. And the show and the quality of the show, we hope that it will improve as we go as well. Thank you so much. Have a good day.